Hey guys, it's Jason, and in today's video, this will be the last one of 2024, and today we are going to end it off with a bang because it is going to be another video of me talking. It's been a while since we've done this kind of videos because it's always been gameplays, but I have a list video that I've been putting together for the past few months, and it is my top 5 best and worst horror games of 2024. How this will be going down is that I'll be going through each game on my list from starting with the worst and the best. We're going to get the negatives out of the way first, so that's the best way to do it. And once again, I do have LED lights because if you realized in the last video, all of this was in red. Now this one is, it looks like yellow. I'm not sure. The remote on this is kind of weird with the colors, but yeah, anyway. And also, I do have a mic with me now, so hello. Hi. Anyway, so first things first, I just wanted to say thank you guys for a great year here on the channel. I do feel like this year has been a big step up for me from live streaming, making new friends. I do want to give a shout out to my homies, Brian, Brian YT, and Trick Treat. Both are great content creators here on YouTube, and yeah, it's been a pleasure getting to know them. And here's to a great 2025 with them. And anyway, we shall start with the list video. I do have it pulled up on my other monitor here, so if you guys see me looking this way, my list is right here. And I'll also put pictures up for the games that I mentioned. So for first things first, we shall start with the worst. And so these are 5 games I didn't really enjoy playing this year. Starting with number 1, Zoochosis. These are all ranked correctly. So Zoochosis. Again, that's number 1. The reason why that's a number 1 because when I first saw the trailer, it looked exciting. It looked very promising, and I was looking forward to playing it because, believe it or not, I have never played a zookeeper horror game before, so that was actually going to be my first. And when I first started playing it for a video, and I also did a live stream after, I thought the gameplay was bland. It was boring. I didn't really get where the story was going. I was struggling to understand where it was going, where it was leading me to. From the starting point where we had the tutorial session with the Doc character. Yeah, screw him anyway. Where we had it with Doc and we had to take care of each animal. I thought it got repetitive. There could have been more to it. The mutated animals didn't really hit it for me, so that's when my enjoyment kind of went downhill. And they had like a million endings, so in my video, I got the bad ending. So I decided to stream another playthrough to see if I could get a good ending, and I did that, but I'm not saying that I hate the game, but it's something that I would not go back to. It really didn't do it for me this year. So Zoochosis, probably the worst game because it got repetitive, it was boring, and it's like we had to do the same things over and over again. So Zoochosis, number 1. Number 2, I streamed this as well. A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. That was another worst game that I played this year. The only positive part I can say about that game is that the challenge of having your mic on and you had to stay quiet through noise detection, that was very good. I definitely enjoyed that. I definitely enjoy these kind of games. It what does it for me in these type of games. So A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, that was the positive part, but the negative part, I feel like that game was targeted towards the movie fans, and I never really saw the movie, so I couldn't really talk. But again, it got repetitive gameplay, over tutorialization. They give you these public tutorials, which you don't really need, but stuff that you need to know, it doesn't tell you. And the map was way too big. It wasn't really fun to explore when you have something constantly on your back. It would have been nice if they allowed us to talk during some scenes, but having to stay quiet throughout almost the entire game, definitely didn't do it for me. So that's what I gotta say. Repetitive gameplay, over tutorialization. I didn't really like it. So there. Those are my first two. Number 3, the casting of Frank Stone. That was my first time doing a choice-based game here on the channel. And oh my god, what that experience. I do get where the story went. I do like the story, but gameplay-wise, these chapters flew by. They gave you a 14-chapter game, but a lot of them flew by very fast. And they throw stuff at you when you're not ready for stuff to be thrown at you just yet. I was like, what am I playing? But then again, I guess it was because I never played Dead by Daylight that often. But the fact they threw stuff at you, that is something I don't really like in video games. When you get stuff thrown at you, I mean, unless I played it before and I get the hang of it, but this one, that was my first playthrough. So as much as I like the characters, the choices, and the story, I thought it was weird. I never went back to get another ending. Because I never really got where the story went. So overall, it was a mid experience for me. It was somewhat good, but for the most part, not good. So that's why I ranked the casting of Frank Stone to number 3. Number 4. This is going to piss off the mascot horror fans of this series, Garten and Banban. The latest game, Garten and Banban 7. Now, as much as I like the gameplay of the series, I feel like 7 wasn't really that enjoyable. There was a chase that I thought wasn't needed. They had some stuff there that isn't really needed for the playthrough. It just felt like filler for me. It's just like the chase scene where you had the Joker guy. Oh, whoa. Sorry that my computer shook for a minute there. If we had the Joker guy, the guy who likes to tell jokes, chase you around, it's not because I struggled with that chase, for those of you that watch my live stream. It just felt like filler for me because it wasn't needed if we had other chases to get to as well. And like that one scene with the classroom, for example, where we had to remember the Garden Bayman characters by memory. That wasn't needed. Also, a bit of exploration. That's something that I didn't really need when we could just go from one place to another. Some stuff also felt time consuming, so I didn't really like that. I usually like to get straight to the point and get straight to the horror, to the action. But yeah, then again, I felt like the gameplay was mediocre. I hope Garden Banban 8 is a step up from 7. But what can you do? You know, I mean, I feel like the Euphoric Brothers just make these games out of the blue and release it whenever, I guess. But who knows? I mean, you guys will see when I stream Garden Banban 8 on the channel at some point next year. So yeah, that's where I stand. Anyway, Hollow Body is number 5, the last of my worst games list. Here's the reason. And I'll also explain why I never went back to playing it. As much as I appreciate it being a love letter to the Silent Hill and Resident Evil fans, I felt like it was way too big of a map to explore. And I felt like the enemies weren't hitting it for me. The action wasn't there. I didn't feel like I accomplished something when I killed somebody in the game. And it would have been better if there was a boss battle in that game. Because I remember saving up all my ammo for a boss battle, only for it to not be a boss battle. So I felt like it was a letdown. Some of the dialogue was boring. The gameplay was boring. And the puzzles weren't fun to solve. I didn't really have fun solving the puzzles, hence why I looked it up during the stream half the time. But then again, I always struggle with puzzles anyway. Y'all know that, so yeah, Hollow Body is overall a boring game. It's something I would not go back to, and I never went back to it ever since the stream. So yeah, anyway, that's it for the negatives. Let's move on to the positives, shall we? Number one, best game of the year, my game of the year for 2024, Silent Hill 2 Remake. Silent Hill 2 Remake. This was my most anticipated game of the year. Hold on a second. Let me switch colors because I want to. What is that okay with you guys? Is this color okay with you guys? This is my remote, by the way. Anyway, Silent Hill 2 Remake. This was my most anticipated game of the year. It's something I've been looking forward to. I'm sure all Silent Hill fans were looking forward to. This was also my first experience playing a Silent Hill game. I did see movies years ago, so I guess I forgot a little bit about the story, but James Sunderland, great protagonist. Luke Roberts killed it there. I do love the story. And with Pyramid Head, Mary, Maria, Angela, Laura, Eddie, those were some very good characters. I thought their voice actors were very good. I thought everything about them was very good. It was very atmospheric. The boss battles, I felt like I was really fighting someone there. It was so much fun. The puzzles, despite the fact I struggled on some and figuring out where to go, it was fantastic. I loved the puzzles. And I feel like I can solve it without having to look it up at this point. Like, heck, even my friend Brian, shout out to you, by the way, bro. My friend Brian is streaming over on his channel currently at the time of filming this. Well, he does have a playthrough going. He's not streaming right now when I was recording this. I'm recording this on 1:27 a.m., New Year's Eve. But, yeah. Y'all get the point. Please check out his Part 4 playthrough, by the way, which he'll be doing it next year, 2025. This Thursday, by the way. But, yeah. Anyway, so Silent Hill 2 Remake, best game of the year. Please play it. The story's great. And thought the combat was fantastic. Everything about it was on point. Very atmospheric. Great graphics. I loved it. It's definitely something I'll go back to. I even went back to it when I first got my PS5. And since then, I've been having a great time with it. And also, I'll be working through New Game Plus. Because why not, you know, right? Anyway, number 2. Still Wakes the Deep. Still Wakes the Deep. I did a playthrough on this back in June. And I remember I experienced a bug which caused me to delay my last video, Part 5 playthrough on it. And despite that, I still had a good time with the game. I had fun playing it. I thought the story was very good. You can feel the emotion of the characters, like what Kaz has been going through back at home. And you can also feel the atmosphere. You're running away from a monster. There was so much water levels. It truly reveals people's worst nightmare in that game. I had fun playing it. So the water level, the atmosphere, that was very good. Atmosphere, pacing, and emotion. That's my top 3 favorite things in horror games these days. Whether it's from major releases, indie horror games, stuff like that, you know? So yeah, there's not much to say about Still Wakes Deep. It's just awesome game. I love the emotion, the atmosphere, the story. I definitely was able to understand it better. And the puzzles weren't that hard. It was very simple, so. Number 3. I played this recently. Mouthwashing. Mouthwashing, I can see why it's a horror game of the year contender. I felt like that game definitely brought out the best in psychological horror fans. It truly shows what psychological horror is all about. From like traveling to different dimensions, seeing different timings of events, which leads up to something, which like what happened in the spaceship with like Anya, Jimmy, Swansea, all these characters, you know? And I know baking the cake was painful for me to watch. And the scanner part was definitely confusing for me because I didn't really get what to do. I felt like the directions could be more clear, but it still was a great game. I could definitely feel the emotion through the dialogue. Heck, I even did voice acting for the dialogue as well. I even did different accents as well, so I thought that was on point for me. But yeah, this mouthwashing, that was definitely a great game for me to play. I enjoyed it. I had a good time playing it. Please play it. Number 4. That has to go with Crow Country. I put this at number 4 because some puzzles were confusing, but it's overall a good experience. It's definitely a love letter to classic survival horror. I thought the theme park and the story was definitely great choices for a unique survival horror game. I thought the weapons were very good, the controls were very good. That was all on point for me. It was definitely tough for me to figure out, but then again, it's probably because I played it on mouse and keyboard, but I'm definitely playing it off camera. I did 2 streams on it. I'll be honest, I never went back to it, but I went back to it off camera because if I were to be streaming it, it would have taken me a long time. And at the time, I had a lot of streams to get to. But yeah, Crow Country is definitely a Game of the Year contender. Well, it definitely was because we're about to approach 2025, but you all get the point. But yeah, Crow Country, I had a good time playing it. Number 5, Fears to Fathom, Episode 5, Woodbury Getaway. This has to be my favorite episode of the Fears to Fathom series. So, I did stream this on the channel. I had a good time with it. I thought the characters, like you have Sydney Harper, Mike, Nora, the fake Rick character, and you have the hitchhiker from that you meet in the pizzeria scenario. I like the story where you're going on an Airbnb trip with your college friends. I do applaud the difference they made with this episode because you get phone calls, even though it would have been nice to be able to answer the call. But I'm sure they might do that for season 2 of the series. But yeah, and then you have fishing, and then you have forgot what I was gonna say, but okay, I almost forgot what I was about to say, but I'll just move on anyway. But you even have a guy that's flirting with you. Okay, that's what I was about to say. I thought Mike was a pretty funny character. Like, the fact he's not taking a hint was definitely hilarious for me because what the fuck is wrong with him, right? So, yeah, I thought he was definitely an interesting character of the series. And the fact that you're not alone half the time when you're experiencing the horrors, because you have Sydney and Mike in the cabin while you're being shown around the place, and the horror definitely kicks in more when Mike leaves to get Nora, and then you're able to experience more horror when you have the little chasing. I thought the chase was it's something different because you have to hide in the basement and then you have to run up to the closet, which you find when you're playing hide and seek with Mike. And then you have the attic to go to where you have to use the steps. I'll be honest, I was confused by that chase. But I definitely get the point because they definitely tried something different here. I applaud Rail for doing that for each episode. Like, you have Ironbark Lookout, where you have to run out from under the bed into the porta potty and then you leave through the RV, right? So Fierce Fathom episode 5 is definitely has a lot of differences in it, hence why it's my favorite. I love the story. I love the story, and yeah, I look forward to seeing season 2 whenever Fierce to Fathom season 2 happens. But yeah, an honorable mention. You guys notice I haven't said any FNAF stuff here, but an honorable mention for me has to be Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. It didn't really make any of the list because, no disrespect to the FNAF fans that are going to defend Into the Pit, but it's definitely not Game of the Year worthy. It's definitely an adaptation of a book. I definitely see it as just an adaptation for the FNAF fans to play, but it's definitely an honorable mention for my favorite games of the year. I liked Into the Pit. I had a good time streaming it, and I had a good time hunting for lore and getting all the endings and seeing the story because I never read any of the FNAF books back in the day. So Into the Pit, it's definitely on my list, but not in any of the lists. But it's not really my favorite FNAF game. But to be honest, my favorite has to be FNAF 4, one of the main series games. And if I were to rank it right now, then we would be here for 30 minutes, and we're almost approaching 20 minutes at this point. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the list that I created here for this year. It's been a great year for video games, and I cannot wait for 2025. Stay tuned for my next video that I'll be posting on New Year's Day. It's going to be a compilation video for jump scares, which I'll be working on that later today before the New Year's celebrations. And that will be posted on January 1st. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the video. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, you know exactly what to do. And subscribe if you're new. Happy New Year, and see you next year. Take care, buddy. Bye.